Good morning, or I mean, good evening. It's been a while. I'm down here this time. I'm going to share this video with you. So these are updates on the drone issue. Let's start with this video. It's just a few things I want to play on here.
And the authority to act. Congress, yes, and the president, yes, need to move quickly to expand state and local authorities, powers. But DOD has it right now. Sheriff Golden wrote me a few days ago requesting legislation to empower the state police to seriously protect at-risk persons and infrastructure, and if necessary, bring down a dangerous drone or drones. I am now drafting that bill and will soon introduce it. I want to thank him for that idea. I liked it.
This is December 14th, 2024. It's been a while since I've been on video. Still not over my sinus infection, but here I am. We're going to continue on this. This is from about 6 or 7 hours earlier today. Updates from officials in the in the area, in the New Jersey area, I believe. Let me see here.
Yield the floor to Sheriff Mastronardi, and then to Sean Gold. Sure.
Thank you, Congressman. I just want to clarify a couple of things that have happened. We have a very robust drone program in Ocean County. We've had it for 8 years or more. We're very fortunate. It's headed by Sergeant Fennessy. When we started to get these reports at the 911 center from local PDs, we went out and we decided to do a drone patrol, more or less. And we took our tethered drone, which you see over here, that the officers are demonstrating, and we put it up in the air on Saturday night a week ago. At that time, Sergeant Fennessy, who's an experienced drone operator and pilot, and Officer D'Amico spotted one of the items that brought us concern. They videotaped it as far as they were. They got some tape on it. They described it as going around their drone and traveling off at a high rate of speed. They reported to us that it was, they felt it was 60 miles an hour or more. And it put it in perspective, our drones only go about 40 miles an hour. So,
well, that's important information. So the ones that they detected, they go 60 miles an hour, where their regular drones that they use go 40. Obviously not the same kind of drones. That's the first thing.
that's number one. Sunday night, we were out again. This time was Sergeant Fennessy once again. And at that point, we got notified by our 911 center there was concern of a sighting in Island Beach State Park. We responded. We met a officer, a certified New Jersey law officer, not from our department, from another agency. And that officer did an excellent job. She documented. That's where you're getting the reports of 50 drones coming off the ocean. That's what she reported seeing. She was on duty at the time, and she reports that she saw 50 drones coming from the ocean to the mainland, transversing the airways over Island Beach State Park, going down towards Barnegat Light and coming to the seaside area. As a result of that, we continue to operate. We've obviously notified all of our partners, FBI, State Police, Coast Guard. Coast Guard cutter put out a boat at a Barnegat Light. They reported to us what the Congressman referred to the comments. I have not spoken to the people on that boat directly. So what are we doing? We're taking proactive, working with Sheriff Golden, our partner, also Sheriff Nolan, May County, and Sheriff Donahue from Atlantic County. We're taking some, trying to document what's happening, if there was anything happening off the coast of New Jersey. But, you know, obviously there's a lot of attention to this matter throughout. Social media is a little bit different than it used to be. Than when I first came on the job, so that's something you have to control too, because people are putting everything out there. We were looking at the time that the Sergeant Fennessy reported seeing the drone. We have flight radar mapping capabilities, and we did not see anything on indicating it was a plane. We get numerous reports of planes. On the other side of the coin, we get people reporting drones when we look right at the radar and say, no, that's a plane going over your house. And then they want to argue with you and say, no, no, no. So just so you know, the flight path to JFK out here, what we see is that they're traveling about 18 to 20,000 feet in the air. And coming out of Newark, going south in the western part of the county, they're about the same, 18 to 20 going south. The ones coming from the islands that are going to land at Newark come over our county at about 6,000 feet. These drones are less than 1,000. So obviously they want us to know they're there. They put on their lights. So who it is, I wish I could tell you. We don't know. We keep telling, everybody says, well, it's the government. I don't know, but I think the government has a responsibility, in my opinion, that if it is them, just tell us and we'll be happy about it. But if it isn't, we got to get some answers. So we continue. We see a lot of activity out here. We see other agencies now paying attention to New Jersey, thanks to Congressman, his support. So hopefully we'll continue to get some answers in a short.
Okay, well, that was interesting information. So, of course, the FAA can't detect, apparently, the drones on their thing, because I guess their radar only does planes and that sort of thing. Let me see. One other thing I wanted to show you was a former military man's opinion of this drone phenomenon.
I said many of the corroborated sightings have turned out to be piloted aircraft. I didn't say all of them, and what I said was those are the ones we were able to corroborate. There's certainly the ones that we have not been able to, and we don't know the answer to it.
The president-elect Donald Trump, he just called on the Biden administration for you guys to either release any information it has about these mysterious drone sightings or shoot the drones out of the sky. How do you respond to the president-elect?
Well, first of all, the statements I've made already are the principal message that I want to communicate to the American public. We haven't seen anything unusual. We know of no threat. Secondly, we have gone to Congress repeatedly asking for more authority to counter drone activity. And we have also asked for more authority to give to the state and local officials under our supervision, because it correctly notes those authorities need to be expanded.
Are you kidding me?
If you're paying more than $100 a month on auto insurance, stop scrolling. These big insurance companies are doing everything they can.
The director of Homeland Security, the secretary of the Homeland Security, has the audacity, after all that I just set up and told you about before, to then tell Wolf Blitzer to calm the American people that he sees nothing unusual. One of the comments I've seen recently, someone said, "Yeah, of course Mayorkas doesn't see anything unusual. He didn't see anything on the border either, and so why would he see anything in the air?" Lot to that. But the bigger issue here, to me, is the fact that these things are flying all over the United States, and we don't even know, or at least not being told, which is possibly a second issue, who this is. How can it be that the United States of America, which we say is the most powerful nation on the planet, the most technologically advanced, etc., we pride ourselves on all that, after multiple months in these kinds of sightings all over the United States, don't know who it is, have not brought down a single one of them by any means. And listen, I'm not saying that this is an easy situation, because, you take down something in the air, it's going to fall. And you shoot a missile somewhere, then there's, as we see in the Russia-Ukraine war and all over the Middle East all the time, errant missiles can also hit the ground and cause damage. So it's not a minor issue that you have to be very, very careful about where you shoot these things down. But some of them, for example, have been over water. Some of them have been over, like directly over a military site where it can be safely taken down because there might not be anything under that particular part of it. But there's not any effort being made to do that. And it just baffles me why, okay, at first you're caught unaware, but now when the months start rolling around and you still aren't doing anything at all, that's a big red flag. Because, listen, I mean, you may...
I agree with him. I agree that if nobody is shooting down a drone somewhere safely to do so, and they aren't gathering it up, investigating it, checking out its parts, figuring out what it is, taking it to some hangar or whatever, so that people can do some tests on it and see what's going on with it. That's a problem. That should have already taken place. It is weird that nobody has done that in our federal government.
Last month, or I'm sorry, it may have been September, when a lot of this issue in the Russia-Ukraine war, when Biden gave permission to use long-range weapons, and the immediate response from Moscow, from Sergei Lavrov, was that, listen, if this escalates into a war between the United States and NATO, the United States and Russia, or NATO and Russia, he said, the U.S. has always been safe, and they think that anything that happened would be on the European soil. He said, that is a wrong. And if you need to understand that if anything happens, and he was very circumspect on what he meant, your oceans won't protect you. There will be something on your soil too. It will come to your shores. He didn't say what he meant. Everybody gets to interpret whatever that was, but it certainly could be a drone situation, and not just from him.
Another good point. Yes, we all think we're safe here, and there's no guarantee of that. I also find it odd that, well, it's not odd. I just say that's an important detail that Daniel is bringing up.
Any potential adversary of the United States, because the technology is so profuse and so far out there, and it's easy to transport. It's easy to get it there. Some of the drone strikes that have happened in Russia, for example, by the Ukraine side, some have been launched from within Russia itself. Some have been launched from outside, and Russia even has a difficult time with it. But here's the thing. The United States has had the better part of 3 years to work with this and to understand the evolving threats of new and modern war, and especially in the drone. Without question, that has been the biggest development in this war so far, and it has dramatically changed the nature of war and how it's fought and how it's defended. And you now see, and really, we'll just take like the last 2 full years, because that's where a lot of this has really started to come into its own, both the offensive and defensive capability in drone warfare. That means shooting down, the ability to shoot down drones, the ability to knock them out with electronic warfare, and then, of course, the opportunity and the potential to counter all of those things on the other side. It's this never-ending process back and forth, and you've seen them ebb and flow about success rates expanding, and then some new technology comes out, and then it shrinks, etc. But here's the issue. The Russians and the Ukrainians have figured out how to shoot down between 80 and 90% of everything that comes from the other side, or to knock it out with electronic warfare. Probably more is knocked out with electronic warfare than is taken down with physical means. Anything to keep the weapons or the reconnaissance drones from accomplishing their mission. And yet, the United States, we can't take down any of them on our own soil. How can it be that the Pentagon, who is charged with defending our country, not just the Homeland Security, but the Pentagon and all of our forces, what that tells me is it is almost certain that we have taken virtually no effort to prepare our forces to fight the same kind of war that Russia and Ukraine is fighting right now. Because that is the future of it. And what that should tell you is that the Pentagon is way behind the power curve here.
He brings up an interesting point. Is it possible that what he's saying could that really be the issue? I don't know. Are our military not prepared? It's possible. I want to say one thing, that when it was mentioned yesterday on the drone news report that I shared, it said that the sheriff's department off the Jersey Shore sent up one of their drones, and there was no heat coming from the drone, so they couldn't sense that the drone that's we're trying to figure out what it is. There is no heat off of it. I told my oldest son this, my 25-year-old son, and he said, well, that is interesting because it's possibly it could mean that a heat-seeking missile wouldn't be able to detect these particular odd drones in the sky. So let's go on.
If we can't support Langley Air Force Base right near Washington, D.C., where the President of the United States, Congress, all that is located, if we can't even do that, or in New Jersey over military bases, etc., then what do you think the chances are that our tactical units, should they have to fight tomorrow, since some unexpected war breaks out, and now all of a sudden we have to go on the front lines and fight the same kind of fight that Russia's fighting, possibly even against Russia if things go bad there, and that's always a possibility. What do you think the chances are that we can defend ourselves? I think the chances are almost none. No. So that's overstating it a little bit. We've been doing drones for quite a long time, and we have a lot of that, but we don't have combat experience with them. We don't have combat experience on defending against them either. And it just stands to reason. It's irrational to think that, yes, our tactical units are just as good as Russians are now, and we've been paying attention, and we have all these drone and counter drone capabilities equal to what Russia has, but we don't have any on our own soil. I mean, let that make sense. It just doesn't.
Okay. Well, that is an interesting point coming from a former military man. He would have some clue or some ideas anyway, different from other people talking about these issues. Let's see.
But that's kind of where we are. And that's one of the things that I'm really concerned about, especially when you have, the leaders of our country making statements like these two guys are, months after this stuff is happening all over the place. How can it be that they don't have any plan to do anything at all? And I don't know. I mean, I seems a little trite and overused to say, well, we got to hope the incoming administration changes that. But I hope the incoming administration changes that.
Okay, well, there's some thoughts on this. Is it possible that our government is not prepared for these drones? I don't know. That's his perspective. I'm wondering if that were the case, why are they so laid back about this whole issue? Why are they so lackadaisical in their attitude? Wouldn't they be more concerned if they were not prepared for this, if it was something of grave importance? Possibly. You would think so. Common sense would say so. But also, it makes me think of how prepared were we on 9/11? I don't see that either. Well, my issue is, if this were the case, I always think of the fact that there's the globalist outlook of a lot of these, government leaders and our government leaders and ones all over the world that don't really care too much about their own citizens. They're more, focused on their own agendas. So I'm wondering if it's possible they just don't care about what happens to, even if we had an attack, what would they do? I don't know. But they don't seem to be, as you would think, a group of people in intelligence or in Pentagon would act and respond. What's your thoughts on this? I find it very odd. If you like my content, Please follow my channel and like my videos if you like them. Until next time.